last years of the 19th century, that human affairs were being watched from the timeless worlds of space. No one could have dreamed we were being scrutinized as someone with a microscope studies creatures that swarm and multiply in a drop of water. Few men even considered the possibility of life on other planets. And yet, across the gulf of space, minds immeasurably superior to ours regarded this Earth with envious eyes. And slowly and surely, they drew their plans against us.
Broadcasting live
from a tiny studio somewhere in North America.
This is Dark Matters Radio Live. And now I give you your host,
the silverback of ufology.
Here's Don Ecker.
Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of Dark Matters Radio. Tonight, we're hoping that it's going to be a very special show because our guest hasn't checked in yet, but we are expending all the energy of KGRA DB to track him down. He knows what time the show starts, and the show promises to be extremely fascinating. It concerns a case that happened in South Africa back in 1994, where apparently an unknown object with occupants landed not very far from a school with, well, probably well over 100 students and, of course, teachers and everything else. But before we get into any of that, of course, Mr. Mark Center is here with us once again, and Mr. Gary Cassell. Gary, welcome back. Gary's been a little under the weather for the last few days, but he thinks he's booted it in the ass. What?
Yeah, I caught the COVID.
Yes, he caught the COVID. I got to be honest, man. I kind of put that out of my head. It's been a while, you know, but I guess it's still going around.
Again. Yeah, it is. And everybody in the house got it. And I was like concerned because of my age, my medical stuff. But man, that Paxlovid. On day 4, man, I'm up and moving around. I'm doing shows. So I'm like, that shit works.
Well, we haven't had a live show since prior to the 4th of July. Here we are, fast approaching the end of July. And before you know it, it's going to be August, then September. And God, time keeps marching along. Mark, what the heck have you been up to?
105 degrees. That's what I've been up to.
Is that all?
Well, you know, Don, we talk every day, buddy. I threw a giant party in my backyard with a pig, a giant pig that they roasted for me, and we had a live band, and it was a great party. And then the following weekend, we had karaoke in my backyard, and terrible karaoke singing for a couple of hours, and it's been good. It was interesting when you told me you were going to have the director of Ariel Phenomenon on, because I hadn't watched that in a while. I even forgot the Netflix show had the Encounters had an episode on it, and I forgot all of that stuff. So it's kind of interesting to watch it all again. Wi-Fi, we both like Wi-Fi. He seems to do a good job, and I watched a little Joe Rogan on it, and it was interesting to reconnect with that story.
Well, you know, I watched it again today, and a couple of things caught my cop mind about this. I'm not gonna go into it right here and right now, but the whole thing is really rather bizarre. But hey, the whole UFO thing has more than its share of bizarre. Okay, and this happens to be one of those things that I found particularly interesting. And Gary, did you watch?
I saw it when it came out, and
Okay.
I downloaded it. I just haven't had a chance to watch it again, but because of this whole COVID crap. But
Right.
I'm looking forward to it because I remember watching it, and I was kind of I wasn't sure how to feel about the documentary, because it's like it presents this story, but then it seems like it kind of, in its very weird way, kind of attacks the veracity of the stories. And I mean, that's how I remember it when I watched it. It came out in 21 or 22.
Been several years, yeah.
Yeah, it came
years.
out in let's see here. It came out in 22.
22.
And they do have a YouTube channel called Ariel Phenomenon, and it's interesting the way they use Ariel. That's the name of the school, and it's also a thing that's in the air, right? So that's sort of an interesting thing. But they don't have a lot of it of the videos up there. They started posting 6 years ago, and they haven't posted in about 9 months. But if you want to go to their channel, Ariel Phenomenon, on YouTube, you can watch a few things up there. It's I don't want to get into it either in the hopes that he's going to show up, because there's some questions to that we should ask, right? I'm sure Don has some. And
yeah. Now
yeah.
Here is one of the students at the time basically pointing out where these children saw this. Now, these kids were all the way from elementary school into middle school age, okay? So in other words, where I came from, we called it elementary school 1 through 6, and then middle school, we called it junior high school, which in my area was 7 through 9.
Mm-hmm.
But these kids. Now, I got to tell you, I watched these children who were interviewed at the time that this happened, and I got to tell you, it was. I watched their faces very closely.
It was like they're reliving it.
Yes. Now, something else happened at that time. Now, in 1994, my wife, Vicki, and I were publishing UFO magazine. We were publishers for over 20 years. And of course, we did quite a bit on this story at the time. But one of the people that actually went over there to do some real in-depth research was Dr. John Mack, who's on the right side of the screen there. The guy on his left, as you're facing the screen, was the director of the school. And Dr. Mack was a Harvard-trained psychiatrist, and I might add, headed up the psychiatry department there. And what he did at the time was not appreciated by the people at Harvard, okay? They began an insidious campaign against Mack. They actually drove him out of his office in the main building to a building off campus, okay? he was under an increasing amount of basically censure, all right, because he dared to think outside the box, all right, and he examined something that at that time, not so much today, but at that time they were not happy campers about that. It was a genuine kerfluffle. Now, Mac also had his supporters. Now, some of these, I'm gonna put some photographs up or some drawings that these kids made. All right, describing what it was they saw. They said it was basically a dome-shaped disc, and the occupants of this, well, basically, according to the children, had the classic gray alien type face. And these occupants, or these entities, I guess you could say, did not communicate through audio, speaking to them, but basically through telepathy. Now, some of what the children claim that they were told or given information is some of the things that I have some real questions about. Now, here's some more students. Now, remember, these kids were anywhere between probably between 6, 7, 8, and 12, 13, maybe 14 years of age. But whatever it was that they witnessed, they were affected still to this day. Now, this happened in the country of Zimbabwe. And today, of course, that's not a real popular tourista spot. But here's a young woman many years after the effect. She's obviously an artist, and she was painting some of what she witnessed years ago. Mark, do you get any thoughts about that?
I looked into the society in South America at that time because
You mean South Africa?
Yes, one of the I can't remember if it was a direct question, but the term and the knowledge of UFOs were brought up to one or two of the kids, and they sort of like, I don't know anything about that, blah, 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 and it's fine. But I did check, like, the release of Close Encounters there was 1979. And I'm not saying that these kids had the money to go to movies or whatever, but I did a pretty big, deep research on the area of South Africa that has the wherewithal to have the theaters and stuff. It's South Africa. So again, I'm not saying that there's a cause and effect here, but it is true that in South Africa, or Africa in general, if you'd like to go see movies and new release films, that's the area that you would want to live, because they had more theaters there, and films got released there, like worldwide films and stuff. So I thought it was interesting that, and again, I can't say, what's on the kid's mind, but a couple of them did say that they had no knowledge of it. And I'm like, well, maybe. But in 79, a huge film was released in that country. And over the intervening up until 1994, all the movies that we love as Americans, Independence Day, T2, Predator, they all got released there. Doesn't mean those kids saw them. Don't get me wrong. I'm not throwing stones, but it was interesting, right? That it's like, well, no, we know nothing about UFOs and no one talks about them.
Well, Mark, wasn't there one kid that said nothing happened? I remember seeing that in the doc.
Yes. There's, and I did as much deep as I could do on that. His name is Dalin Vico, Vico, and in 2008, when he was 23, he did an interview with the producers. Now, I don't know if it's in the movie because I may have missed it, okay? I'm not sure. But then he did an interview for Netflix in 2023. So he did one at 23 years old and said whatever we saw, and he sort of explained what he saw were lights in the sky. He didn't mention anything about something on the ground or a figure. But he did say whatever we saw there, I have no idea, and it would be nice to know. 16 years in the future, he appears on that Netflix thing, and he says, "I never saw nothing, and we made it up." And we got the kids ramped up so they would talk about this stuff, blah, blah, blah. Again, I don't know, but it is interesting. Why did this guy come out 16 years later and completely change his story, right? And I have no answers. I'd like to talk to the producer and see what he thinks about this. But if you go to the YouTube channel, that's the last thing they posted 9 months ago, which was interesting that they posted this interview with the kid at 23 back in 2008, a couple of months after Netflix released their series. I'm not saying cause and effect or anything. It's just interesting that it's been a dead channel, and that's when they decided. Now, if Don could check out this kid's picture, and if he can remember, I don't think this kid was included in the original. Hey, they probably talked to a bunch of the kids, but I got no answer there.
Children. Okay, if this had been completely fabricated, one kid, hey, we all know kids, all right? I know kids. You guys know kids. One of them probably would have cracked back in 94 or 95.
Allegedly.
And if one cracked,
allegedly,
all right, a bunch of them would have ended up cracking.
No, I agree with you on that, Don, because kids, there comes a point where eventually they fess up when you get a group of them. Somebody spills the beans, and that's never happened. You got this one kid, and I got to tell you, when I remember this one thing, Mark, about that kid, there seemed to be something really off with him in his behavior in the video, because
might have.
He is in the documentary, and I remember him saying stuff, and I'm like, there's something off with him, and it seems like, I don't know if it's mental or if it's, I hate saying this, financial.
Oh, I had no clue. That's why, I wouldn't even want to get into this too deeply, because it's a matter of
we're outsiders to it. Exactly,
and,
Mark.
Right,
we're
right.
Outsiders.
What I'm more interested is in stuff like this. There was 100 kids on the playground, approximately. Okay, 62 of them said they saw something. I'd like to know how they vetted them, because nobody talks about that, how they actually vetted them, not the generalities of...
When you say, hold on, when you say vetted, what do you mean?
62 of them said they saw something out of the 100.
Kids.
Right. So then I'd like to know, did you bring them into the gymnasium as 100 kids and say, who saw something? And 62 kids put their hands up and said, okay, the rest of you losers are out. We're going to talk to these, okay?
Because you can't do that. You can't do a group interview. You have to take them aside individually.
So that would be nice to know. Then it would be nice to know that, and I got this off of the Y-Files. It's been stated that until Max showed up, the term and the reference to unidentifieds wasn't mentioned at all until he showed up. And again, this comes off the Wi-Fi files. It's claimed that was used as a leading question after he showed up. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what they said, okay? They also said that the kids did not bring up anything about the pollution until Mac showed up because he was a pro-global warming guy. Now, again,
yeah.
I can't tell you if this is true. I can only go by.
It's basically witness tampering, is what you're suggesting.
It could have been. I'm not saying it was. It could have been, and I do.
Well, I said there were a couple of things that piqued my interest. Now, you just opened the door, Mark. You mentioned pollution. Some of the children claimed that basically they were communicated with by the entities that they claim came off this craft via their minds. And this one little girl, who later Nickerson interviewed, she's now an adult, said that the ETs, or whatever they were, basically said, we're doing bad things to the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And she said pollution. Okay. Now, unlike back in the 50s with the contactee movement, okay, now if you know anything about UFO history, you will know that after basically the idea of flying saucers became universal across the United States, a group of alleged, and they were called at the time contactees, people came forward claiming that these space brothers, okay, the aliens, allegedly, had given them one underlying theme, which was you got to get rid of your nuclear weapons because people all across the universe are concerned about that. Now, back in those days, we, the Americans and the Soviet Union, were setting these damn things off, a lot of them above ground, willy-nilly. It seemed like every week or every other week, okay, we were testing a nuclear bomb. Now, of course, the pollution from that, they had no idea what the hell they were doing at the time.
Yep.
Radioactivity was flying everywhere. But the government, the American government, got very concerned about what these contactees were saying. They became convinced that the Soviet Union at that time, the communist Soviet Union, were basically interfacing with these contactees, running a Russian disinformation program. That's what they believed. Now,
you brought that up the last time we did a show, and I'm really intrigued. What was the intel on that? Do you know anything?
Well, no, not anything super insider baseball. The FBI, okay, was out there on the beat. Hey, remember J. Edgar Hoover, who was the director of the FBI in those days, was a rabid anti-communist. All right. He was a rabid. He saw commies everywhere. He didn't see mafia. All right. He didn't see the mob. Now, if you know anything about the history of that's on another page. Okay. J. Edgar incidentally loved to bet on the horses and some other odds and ends. The rumor was J. Edgar was in the closet with his boyfriend, Clyde Tom, what the hell was his last name? Tolson or Tomba or something like that. But he was secretly gay. But he had the dirt on everybody. So nobody hassled J. Edgar Hoover. Nobody. Because they were afraid of what Hoover could do to them. Now, to get back to my main point about this, the feeling and thoughts were that these guys, these contactees, people like George Adamski, and oh God, there were a whole slew of these characters that were running around, and NICAP at the time and APRO were the two main civilian research organizations. APRO was headed up, was actually considered the very first civilian UFO investigative group, starting around 1952. And NICAP was top heavy with mostly many retired military personnel and academics, headed up by Donald Kehoe, who was a Annapolis naval graduate, went into the Marine Corps, became an aviator, and during the 30s was a well-known aviation writer. He got hooked on the UFO thing in the mid to late 40s when he was a magazine writer, among other things. True magazine, which was a major men's magazine at the time, contacted Kehoe and asked him to take a look at what this flying saucer business was. Well, he went into it as a skeptic, and he began interviewing many military and commercial pilots. I mean, if you were a pilot, Kehoe wanted to talk to you. And what they told him convinced him that something was definitely going on. It was not a hoax. They were not lying about what they saw. What the hell did they see? Well, it seemed like extremely advanced technology we didn't have. So Kehoe eventually came around to the idea that these things were, now remember, we're talking about 60 years ago, interplanetary. They didn't know where they came from. We today take it almost as verbatim that many of these may in fact be interstellar. But at the time, that was too far. That was a bridge way too far for these guys. So nobody knew. Was Mars possibly their point of origin?
Venus.
Was Venus their
Yeah.
point of origin? Jupiter, because there were contactees that claimed that they had been contacted by representatives of all of these places, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, you name it. So it was crazy town. But to get back to that young girl that mentioned pollution, she said that they never gave her any solution
Right.
or recommended any solution.
That's odd.
But they said something else which really got me thinking about this. They warned the kid about too much technology. Technology is bad. Now, coming from somebody that has a goddamn flying saucer that can go to outer space,
Exactly.
there's something wrong there, okay? Because that would seem to suggest they have very advanced technology. But then something else hit me. If they were actually here, let's say the whole case is as real as getting smacked in the face with a 2x4. Why would they be going to a bunch of school children in South Africa instead of the United Nations or the leaders of nations around the world
Or Area 51.
at that time. Sure, why not?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about this that is, for me, squarely beyond belief, guys.
Well, let's talk about Mack and Hopkins, because to some extent
they're
hooked together. So there's been
Bud Hopkins.
Yes, who I met and talked to once, and there's always been this claim that generally these people who use regressive hypnosis, and I don't think Mack did that, but I know Hopkins did. There's always been this claim that they tend to use leading questions and things to get the people to go either where they like them to go or where they need them to go. Now, if I recall Mack, Don, he didn't use hypnosis. He just talked like a psychiatrist would. He would just talk to people and try to gather the information, unlike Hopkins, who would put them under and evidently sometimes be a little bit leading on that. So if you had to make your best guess, Mr. Ecker, and some people are saying that before Mack showed up, no pollution was mentioned and none of the UFO stuff was mentioned until after he got there.
So what you're saying is Mack polluted?
No, I'm not saying anything. I'm saying you did a lot of research on Mack and all that, Don. What's your view of could that be part of this issue that he did that?
Well, to give you my investigative analysis, I would have to have been able to talk to a lot of those people.
Sure.
You're saying that nobody mentioned pollution or technology or anything else before Mack showed up.
That's what some people.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. But I didn't witness that. I wasn't there. I didn't talk to these kids.
Sure.
I don't know. I wouldn't throw it out, Mark. I wouldn't throw it out. But I wouldn't jump on board with it either.
I'm not. That's why I'm asking you if you ever heard of this in previous cases.
No,
because he went down there as a believer. All right, so he didn't go down there as a psychiatrist who has no interest in the subject at all. He went down there as a person who has so deep that he didn't care. Let's say in quotes, if it screwed up his professional life.
Right.
So I'm not saying he did. I'm not saying he didn't. I don't know.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah. And then there's this other unanswered question that I'd like to ask the director, and he may have gotten sick, and then we can get him on at some point. But I can't get a clear indication on how close the kids got to the beings. When I'm watching this stuff, it's either from quite a ways away within the trees and all that, or if you believe James Fox, they got within arm's length.
Yeah. Well, that little girl, now she's a grown woman, but that little girl that on the documentary talked about the pollution and technology. Okay. Very attractive little girl.
Mm-hmm.
She basically said that one was very close to her, perhaps arm length, but it was his eyes that put her basically in another place.
Sure.
Now, what's that mean? It sounds like they were able to, through telepathy, influence her to an extent. Now, this is just my supposition. Do I know this? No. But I'm guessing from some of them at least seem to have been up very close.
Well, right. That's the problem, Don. We should know that. We should know that. There should be no supposition in 1, 6, or 12 kids who were almost touching them. Why are we guessing about that? Everybody seems to be guessing about that. That's poor research or horse shit. It's one or the other, because there's too many eyeballs there, right? There's too many eyeballs.
What was the outcome of any research done for physical evidence?
They showed it in the video, or as Jaime Musan would say, the video. They showed it. They showed it in the video that the headmaster, the guy with the beard, and the woman from their equivalent of MUFON, they walked out there and they looked around and they said it was between these two poles, like two power pole like jobbies.
Cynthia Hind, yeah,
right.
She had been in touch with us at UFO Magazine too.
Okay, but as far as a follow-up on that, I found nothing about indentation.
No burn marks, no residual radiation.
I find nothing.
No, they had a guy with a homemade detector. Apparently, I guess getting a radioactive. What the hell do you call those things?
Geiger counter.
Geiger counter.
Yes.
Oh,
okay.
no Geiger counter. Okay.
Yeah. Well, he put one together. And,
because it's hard.
All
to
they
get
could.
Yeah.
All they could detect was background radiation.
Right. Which was an interesting test to do, but as far as what you're saying,
well, you can find that because sedimentary rocks can give off radiation.
Well, so. Right. But like the Zamora case, they actually went there and they looked around and they found impressions and things, right? They didn't seem to either be interested in doing that or were not very good researchers, or I'm not really sure. But nobody seemed to have done that, okay?
Because I got to tell you, this reminded me when I heard it the first time, which was on another show. They were talking about it. And it really reminded me of that incident in Russia that I learned from you, Don. And there's, because that happened before. That was what, in the 80s, wasn't it?
Which case are you referring to?
The one where it landed in the park in Russia.
Oh, Voronezh, the Voronezh 89.
Voronezh. So I'm thinking this is 5 years later. Was there some influence on that? Somebody heard that?
I don't know. Also, now I haven't looked into this enough to comment too deeply on it, Don, but Mac also went to Virginia, Argentina to talk to the people down there too. And I don't know how much I've seen of that. I can't recall, but it had to do with the creatures that ran around and the little girl and all that saw them. It would be worthwhile, unless you know it off the top of your head right now, what the outcome of his research down there was, and maybe what the scuttlebutt was as well. Was he asking questions that were leading and stuff as well? I don't know. But at least that's another case he actually went to, took his own time to go down to Argentina and talk to those people. It would be interesting to find out what's the nuts and bolts of what he did there compared to the nuts and bolts of what he did in South Africa.
If I'm not mistaken, it was either Argentina or it might have been Peru.
No, it was Argentina, and the place starts with a V.
No. Okay. I know what you're referring to.
Yes.
A body was found, not a human body, but the suggestion was it was a body from one of these craft. Now, it's been, hell, Mac has been dead since 2004.
Right.
So he's been dead 20 years. Okay.
Yep. This
happened in 94. It's been 30 years since that. My mind is filled with all kinds of detritus,
Wait a minute. I'll
I
find a
don't.
quarter. I'll find a quarter. Here.
Yeah. But I know what you're saying, but I don't recall a lot of information coming out about Mac's journey down there.
Right.
I guess I could look it up.
And some of it might be in the new documentary that Fox did on that case, which I wasn't a huge fan of. I thought there was a lot of supposition in that, but it might be in there. But it would be an interesting sort of I forget the term you would use, but what did he do here and what did he do there? Both out of the United States, both on his own, both without the pressure of his life in America on him, so he could just act naturally and normally and use his education and talents.
Well, there's a very fine science in. Well, I got to be careful how I say this: interviewing or interrogating a witness.
Sure.
Okay, very fine science. And the biggest pitfall, okay, is if you inadvertently lead the witness.
Right.
Now, I've mentioned this before. I'm going to mention it one more time. Back when we were publishing UFO Magazine, we had a number of groups here in Southern California that basically dealt with the abduction phenomenon. And Vicki and I were invited to go to witness a hypnotherapy regression with someone that had alleged an abduction. And, now when I was a cop, we didn't, at least my department, I don't recall them ever using hypnotherapy on anybody. I know their departments did on certain cases, but I knew enough to know that you just frame the question in a generalized way and then let the person tell you what they think they saw. And I watched this hypnotherapist, an amateur, okay, interviewing under hypnosis this abductee, and this person said to the abductee, well, what planet did they come from? Okay.
Uranus.
And I cringed. I said, oh my God. Okay. Because the power of suggestion in that type of circumstance is immense. And this person started going on about what planet they were from. And I knew this was a complete washout.
Yeah,
Totally.
it's in law enforcement, you refer to that as leading the witness.
Now, depending on how it's handled, a lot of that theater to me reminds me of guys who are in a theater and they have people go around the audience and listen for information and such. And then they say, Don, does the letter K mean, does that mean anything to you, Don? Does the letter K, right? So I'm not saying it all does. I know that there's something to it because folks can quit smoking with that, right? Folks can quit doing drugs. Folks can stop eating so much. Yeah, there's something to the power of suggestion and all that. Sure, but So I don't know what to think of this case, man. When Jagari asked me about it, I said, in general, the problem I have with the whole subject at this point is that the initial investigations were either done by amateurs and they weren't very good, right? Because they didn't know, or they could have even been somewhat good investigators who were being screwed around by the police or the men in black, if you want to use that term, or whatever, and they were trying to screw up the investigation. So you got all of these investigations, even like the Zamora case. I'm not going to say that one at all got tainted because I don't think it did. What bothers me about that case is the lack of interest. Because he was honest of what he said. I got done with the Randall book, right? And Zamora was honest. And he didn't want to deal with it because I got a job to do and all that. But just the lack of interest. Why was there that lack of interest? And Don could probably bring up a half a dozen cases that were just like, wow, look what might have gone on here. And yet these guys, there's nothing to see here. Let's move on.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I go back to the Zamora case so much, because that's about as honest as you can get, man. I mean, he called somebody within the first minute, and that guy showed up, and he's out there on site, and he's checking this stuff out, and he's doing the interviews with people he thinks he can trust and all that. And it's like, wow, this case is inexplicable. I mean, it makes no sense to me why they weren't more interested. I'm not talking about NASA or Area 51 or those sorts of people. I mean, in general, the general people, the general scientists, things of that sort. Why they weren't just completely in on this, saying, yeah, this is amazing. Let's take a look at this.
Well, this happened in such a remote area. Okay. I'm talking about God. It's way, 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 way down there. That who would have guessed that it would have achieved the worldwide notoriety that it did? Okay, this is astounding in itself. Every once in a while, you'll find those cases that basically just blow up. Like Voronezh in the former USSR did.
Yeah.
Something, according to over 1,000 witnesses, landed in a park. Several entities, apparently wearing some type of environmental suit, climbed out of this thing, walked around, okay? People standing there with their jaw down around their knees. And it was one of those very, very weird things. Now, at the time, that case, blew me away because TASS, the official Communist Party newspaper, reported this thing. And not only did they report it, but news services around the world picked it up. And our major networks at the time, CBS, NBC, ABC, all reported on that case, when any other time they would have fallen out of their chairs laughing at this ridiculous tinfoil hat wearing story. So you never know. You never know.
Yeah, well, you could actually say the same thing about the Ariel School case. They weren't making fun of it. I mean, when you see all, and then up to that, there was the lights that were seen. I don't know how far away those were, but you can go on the YouTubes and you can find all these. They were not making fun of that. They didn't know what to make of this. All these children, right?
Right.
A lot of kids to be on the same page by and large. That's part of the problem of the case that bugs me is that, okay, how did you get the 62 kids? Max supposedly interviewed 12 of the 62. So that leaves a lot of, not that it would be hearsay, but it's like, okay, so we have almost 50 other children that say they saw something. Well, who talked to them? How did you talk to them? Was it a raise of hands? Also, what was interesting, Don, was kids were crying and yelling and screaming and things, and I have no answer for this. When they talked to their teachers about it, every one of the teachers they talked to said they poo-pooed the whole thing and said, we got to get back to work. And then they started off with their education again, right?
Right.
And we know how kids can get, of course, about things and blah, blah, blah. And I'm not saying they're lying, but that was interesting that they'd go back and talk to the headmaster, the lady, the teachers, and nobody was given it the time of day. And it's like, that doesn't seem like a response. I don't know. That doesn't seem like the response that an adult would give 60 children.
Right.
Well, now what if this happened today? Okay.
Today we have cell phones.
Yeah, that's true. We do. But no, my point being that today this would be looked at in a whole nother light.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, my God, the U.S. Congress has been involved in discussing UAP, UFOs. You know, it's amazing. But here's something else, and we got about roughly 2 minutes. We're going to have to go to break, top of the hour. But something else that I find rather amazing, and that is today, okay, as opposed to, and I've been, believe me, I was digging around in the crap over 30 years ago when you even mentioned the acronym UFO, and they were ready to laugh you
absolutely
out of the room.
Yeah.
Okay. This is something that suddenly, I won't say it's become respectable, but almost respectable.
It's almost at the top of the hill. It's almost there. We're pushing it up. Come on, guys. Come on.
Getting it up to the top
There's
of the hill.
something here. Help us figure it out.
Well, hey, I'll tell you what, when we come back, since our guest still hasn't arrived, I'm going to go in a different route. When we come back, I want to talk to you guys about a film that I just rewatched the night before last. And it figures right into this whole UFO gestalt. And if you aren't familiar with it, or if you've never seen it, I'm going to recommend that you find a copy of it and watch it, because it's one spooky thing. Okay, look, we're going to take our break. And when we come back, more with Dark Matters Radio right here on KGRA DB Digital Broadcasting. And a special thank you out to our producer, Ms. Chanel, because as always, she's doing one heck of a job. We'll be back. And we're back. Still no guests, so we're going to just proceed along. In the last, 10, 11 years, I've watched two films that I really took to my heart. Now, you all are familiar with the film, strictly military film, about an incident in Afghanistan, The Outpost. Okay.
Great.
Clint Eastwood's son is one of the stars in that, based on a true story. It was an American outpost placed in a valley with goddamn mountains all the way around it. And these guys ended up being under attack by the enemy, the Taliban. Whoever picked that location for a military outpost should have been court-martialed, kicked in the ass, and put in Leavenworth, because anybody that knows anything about military history will tell you what happened to the French in 1954 at a place called Dien Bien Phu. That's all I'm going to say about that. But there was another film that came out, almost the same title, called Alien Outpost. Now, everybody that that I knew at the time that I first watched this movie I told about. Because most of them enjoyed, the UFO topic in one way or another. And this was a situation that happened a few years from right now, okay, in the aftermath of an alien invasion that came down and initially were whooping our tail end, but we got our stuff together and drove most of them off world, but there were some left behind, and they were some bad, bad dudes. So as a result, the United Nations basically ended up putting these military facilities around the world where these ETs still maintained a presence. Well, Alien Outpost, if you want a good, exciting film, I can't recommend it highly enough, okay? But there was another film that came out, and I just happened to come across it by happenstance by the very same people that did initially the Blair Witch Project.
It was one of them, because I know the film you're bringing up, man. And I love this movie.
Right. Well, I tried watching the Blair Witch Project. I couldn't get into it. I never finished it.
Not enough nudity for you.
Yeah, not enough nudity, not enough, guns and
yeah, you need
car
guns
chases
in the woods.
Beautiful dames. But anyway, yeah, this movie freaked me out. The name of the movie is The Objective. And it takes place immediately following in the aftermath of the 9/11/2001 attack on the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, etc. Osama bin Laden, okay? Now, this is the gist of the movie. If you remember, immediately following that attack, okay, these guys had been ensconced in Afghanistan. We sent special forces over there. This happened, all right? And we hadn't yet put a large military presence in there, but we had SF in there. Now, in this film, okay, American spy satellites, of course, were going at this place at the microscopic level. And in a range of mountains, they found what appeared to be a radioactive, very strong radioactive presence that they were fearful of. These guys got their hands on a nuclear weapon. So they sent an agent from the Central Intelligence Agency in there who connected up with SF, with Special Forces, and they took a team into the mountains to find out what the hell was going on, with the cover story being that they were looking for a particular Afghan religious leader who the CIA agent had met and got to know during the Russian occupation of Afghanistan in the 80s. Now, you guys, you both saw this, right? Mark,
Yep.
did you see this movie?
Hey, Don,
Okay, and Gary,
I think somebody gave you the Blu-ray of all of these movies, Don.
that's possible. That's possible.
That is possible that somebody on this broadcast took the time to send you the Blu-rays for these movies.
That's right.
If only someone on this show would send me an HD, maybe, higher quality version of it digitally online, on the interwebs.
If only.
If only I had a friend that would do that. It would be awesome.
My check's in the mail. Yeah.
Yes,
What are you, Jack Burton?
I've seen The Objective twice, and it also falls in line with the Monster of Kandahar movie too. You know, all these kind of work together.
It really does.
Yep.
And I'm kind of sorry because my friend Fahim was in that movie, the Kandahar incident movie, and he dies like early on. I think, was it you or somebody like commented on that? And I'm like, oh my God, Fahim's tagged on that post.
No, the very beginning of the movie, he's killed.
Yeah, he's killed. And I'm like, damn it, Fahim, can you survive in a movie? Chigari. But I was kind of disappointed with the film in some ways because I wanted it treated more seriously. Whereas the movie you're talking about right now, The Objective, that's handled in a very serious way. And that's what I liked about it. And I think that's what some of the critical problems were with the film, with people that didn't look at it correctly, because he was trying to handle it from a military perspective. And that's why I like the film. And I'm sure that's probably why you like it, because it's handled from a military perspective. And
some of those guys were actually SF.
Yeah. He's real military personnel. And, look, the thing is that people don't quite understand those sometimes. So if you go up online and look for the ratings on that, you'll see like a moderate rating for the film, 6.4, some shit like that, depending on Rotten Tomatoes, whatever. And that's out of 10, and I'm like, no, I put that film closer to a 7.5 to an 8 for quality and for the writing. And really, to be honest with you, I thought it was daring what he did. Who else was going to do something like that at that time? Because that was when movies like the what is it, Lambs for Lions movie came out, the anti-war film, which tanked, and Redacted came out from Brian De Palma, that commie piece of shit, and so I feel like if that movie came out today, it would have done better. I got to be honest with you. I think it came out at the wrong time, but I'm very grateful for that film, and I do like that film. And you and I are going to do it on Military Monday, sometime in the near future, because that's a movie that a lot of people don't even freaking know about, and it's right. A very good film.
And it's the aspect of alleged either extraterrestrial or interdimensional entities are taken right from the freaking literature. Okay? And I'm talking about, serious investigative research books that have examined the phenomenon. And boy, I'll tell you what, I watched that again the other night. I was thinking back when I'm watching this about some things that happened to me in Vietnam, and it dredged up those feelings of, holy shit, how are we going to get out of this one? And that movie did it to me. And I was just totally enamored all over again. The Objective. Yeah, it's one hell of a
because when you and I first started talking about movies that deal with that, and you said The Outpost, I thought The Objective. So you're talking about, and we're talking about two totally different films. And then I realized, wait a minute, we're not talking about the same film. And then I went, wait, what movie are you talking about? And then I went to see it, and I don't have the same reaction with you. But what I because I was so annoyed with some of the B production value of the film, because the story concept of Alien Outpost is what I like. I don't know how, because I think both of you like that film, and I'm more, but I love the idea of the film, and I'm like, if I were to remake a film and I had a budget, that's the film I'd remake, because I think that film would do much better with higher quality actors, director of photography, and with because I don't know. I mean, the director didn't do a bad job, but he did the best he could with what he had, because he had almost no budget for that film. You could tell there was a lot of favors pulled to get that movie done. And I've known a lot of directors doing that shit. So I give him an A for effort, but I give the film about a C in quality. But what I do give it an A for in the film production itself is the story.
They did a hell of a lot with a very little bit.
They didn't have, that movie was shot on one of the lowest budgets, and I thought they did a fairly good job. So I own it. I have a copy of it. So apparently I liked it because of you. I would probably never watched it. If it weren't for you being in my life, I would have never watched that movie. But I watched it. Yeah, I own it. Now, our good friend Mad Mardigan did not like it at all. And by the way, I got to tell you, Don, this morning while we were doing the show, and I pointed out, a lot of these guys were World War II veterans in The Great Escape, okay? Because that's the movie we talked about this morning, The Great Escape. And we got to a certain point where I mentioned James Garner. I said, well, he's not a World War II veteran. He's a Korean War veteran. And I said the years that the Korean War took place. And Anima goes, I know that because Don was a Korean War veteran. So she did the joke today with you. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What other films like that? Because I'm disappointed with what they did with the Kandahar movie. And you've seen that, right, Mark?
Well, I've not seen the Kandahar movie yet, because that really wasn't it. They kind of referred to it in a roundabout, stupid way, but we haven't seen that film yet. A similar movie to the Kandahar that could have been done is Dog Soldiers. If you had a Dog Soldiers style movie but done in the Kandahar story, it would kick ass and it would be a classic, just like Dog Soldiers. Well, without that,
and that was a film shot of a shoestring budget too. Great cast.
Right. And I think Don and I go for movies in a similar way. I don't care how much has been spent. I don't care if there's huge plot hole. I don't care about any of that stuff. I just want to have a good time. And if there's stupid stuff in it, I watch these with my wife. We laugh at it and we point at the screen and go, that's stupid. And we move on because it's not my movie. I don't care about any of that stuff. We just laugh at it and go, man, was that a piece of shit? Or we go, there's a good movie in there. This ain't it, but there's a good film in here. I'm so over it, man. It's like, I've never made a movie. You know why? Because I'm lazy. And it's so hard to make a movie. I wouldn't want to write a book. I wouldn't want to make a movie. I don't want to be in a band. I don't want to do any of that stuff because I'm lazy. And it's like, who am I to yell and scream about something somebody put their life into, right? I mean, the Kandahar movie, there's a lot of effort in that movie, right?
How about To Hell with a Bullet?
Hey, Wolf did a great job on the sound. So, I mean, granted, there are bad movies you won't watch again. Sometimes you'll get halfway through or a quarter way through. Oh, I haven't shared this with you guys yet, but there's this movie mostly shot in somebody's garage, and it's done with a lot of CGI called Space Sharks. Exactly what you think it might be.
I saw the promo for that.
And you know who's in this thing? You know who's in this thing? Pretty Woman's little brother. That guy will make a movie.
Eric Roberts, yeah.
Eric Roberts is in this thing, and I clicked through it to see his role in it. And these people, I mean, he could be a good actor. I've seen him in some stuff where he was fine. But you kind of, if you're a professional actor, like a musician or anything, you kind of either elevate it or you bring yourself down. Well, he brought himself down. What is that? Does anybody else hear that? Oh my goodness, a space shark. That kind of acting. And I didn't send it out to you guys because it's so freaking horrible.
Yeah, they did a table reading, and that's what ended up in the film is the table reading.
Right. And there's other actors in there I've seen in other films, but I'm looking at this thing going, now this is an example of a movie that, effort was put out and money was put out, but it's like, this isn't worth the effort. This is clearly a piece of crap, and it's just a waste. Maybe they did it for a tax write-off. Maybe they did it because they just wanted on their internet database thing, their profile and all that. But sometimes, Don would agree with me, that there's these movies out there. Some people would say the same thing about The Evil Dead or something like that, but they miss the point with movies like that. Okay. Even John Wick, a lot of people don't like that kind of stuff because it's just like endless shooting and but they don't get it. It's not for them. I get it. I understand. But there's so many critics on YouTube and all that, and it does kind of drive me crazy. It's like, guys, if you're going to complain, make your own. It's easy to complain. It's easy to complain about movies and pick it apart and all that. But let's all be true about this. Even putting out a horrible movie with Eric Roberts takes time and effort. I mean, it's not easy. So it's like, hey.
You're having to rearrange shit in your garage to shoot the movie.
Yeah.
Last week, I once again, it's been a while, been several years since I watched John Carpenter's The Thing. Now, Mark and I both love Kurt Russell.
Oh, yeah. Good old.
Oh, hey, don't exclude me. I am a huge fan of that guy.
Well, you're on the bottom of the screen, so I don't think you count.
Fuck you guys.
Kurt Russell was spectacular in this. Now, out of curiosity, I'd like to get your impression at the very end of the film. The whole camp is burned down. There's only Kurt left, and I'm
Childs.
trying to think of the actor.
Childs.
Yeah, Childs. Okay, are left.
Mac and Childs is it.
They know they're dead. Okay, they ain't getting out of there. Just ain't gonna happen. And the bottom line is, wait a minute.
Bottom line
Bill
is
Skywatcher is here.
We got an intruder alert. What the hell's going on,
Great to
Bill?
see you too, and of course Gary. Randall will be here shortly. He ran into a major thing. Now I'm going to give you guys this option, and Chanel already knows the drill.
Nah,
do you mean
we'll
what?
have to reschedule.
I say we reschedule because we've already talked about that. So
Yeah.
Let's just reschedule. So
tell
we
him
can
thanks,
on
but
that.
no thanks.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you do this? He's coming in. So why don't you just tell him, Randall, we already went over it. Maybe you can come back in a future show.
How come he has to come in?
Why don't you tell him?
Just tell him we're going to reschedule. We want to do them proper. We don't want to do something like this.
Yeah,
That's
don't ever
half-assed.
half-ass it.
Yeah.
Well, it's not half-assing if you guys want to go over the time limit, because you can.
Well, no.
Now we're all older. We don't want to do that.
I gotta take my nap.
We would rather respect the movie, respect the case, come back with even
Absolutely.
better questions next time.
All right, I'm going to contact him and let him know that that's the plan. So I'll talk to him on that.
Ask him, is
thank
next
you.
Monday good for this again? Just to do it again while it's fresh in everybody's mind?
I can
Don?
ask him.
Yeah.
No, I'm
yeah.
talking with Don. You want to do that next week?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let me work on that.
All right. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Bill. By the way, Bill,
Yes.
love you.
Love you too. Bye.
So I got to tell you something, Don. I have a list. It's 5,000 movies long. I've seen over 10,000 films in my life. And the top 5 list of films, and they'll never change. It's always the same films. Number 1, Blade Runner. Number 2, The Thing. Number 3, Duelists. Number 4, Escape from New York. Number 5, Big Trouble in Little China. All Ridley Scott, John Carpenter films, and Kurt Russell's in 3 of them.
Yeah.
So you can tell I'm a huge Carpenter fan. I'm also friends with the fan club founder, because when I founded the Blade Runner fan club back in 95, I considered doing The Thing, and then I met a guy that doesn't. It's Outpost 51 or Outpost 31. It's whatever the number is. I forget the number. And you can find it on Facebook, and they have a website too. It's been around since 96, almost as long as my Blade Runner fan club. And we've gotten into so many debates about that film. And one of the biggest, most longest debates in the world, there are 2 things. One, who's the shadow at the beginning when the dog goes into the room? And I've basically said it can only be one person, period. And the second argument is who was the thing at the end, or were they both human? And I said it doesn't matter. That, thinking about things like that doesn't matter. What's interesting about this is the way they're sitting there adversarially in almost a détente.
Second down a bottle of scotch.
Yeah. Bottle of scotch, man, that Mac pulled out of his room. And he says it. He says what's important, because Child goes, what should we do? He goes, nothing you can do. It's going to cool down around here as soon as the fire goes out. And then we'll see what happens. And I love that. I don't think either of them are the thing, but if any one of them is, it's Child. Because Child's the one that disappeared.
Racist.
Well,
yeah, I like it when he goes for the gun, and what's his name? The big dog handler gets between him and holds a knife at him, and Mac goes, I think we need someone a little more even-tempered to take control of the situation. And that's where you should yell that, Mark. Race this.
Yes.
Now, my question that I was going to ask before Bill popped on was, do you guys, and you've already answered it, Gary, but Mark, do you have any thoughts about whether Childs
I think that's a good answer. We've all watched stuff about the movie, and if I'm not mistaken, they did either film or were gonna film a definite ending and decided, not.
Yeah, they're going to be rescued the next
right.
movie.
I think he made the right decision, that it's better to leave it like that. And even though I like the prequel, okay, the story and the actors were fine, I thought. They did the most horrible thing they could have done, and they had practical effects in that movie. And then that director said, we need CGI instead. Much like the Will Smith Last Man on the Earth, where they said, we don't want a guy in a suit. And it's like 2 horrible mistakes in movies that could have been classic sci-fi horror movies.
1,000% in agreement on that. Yeah.
So when Will Smith makes the sequel to the Last Man on the Earth film, maybe
they're going with the DVD version, the director's cut ending.
Okay.
They said they're doing that. Instead of doing what the theatrical cut did, they're going with what the director's cut was.
I don't care about that. I just care about if you're going to use CG, it's got to be very good CG. I mean, that's a criticism that we can all get behind, because it's like, look, if you're going to do CG, you better do CG well. Like in the new Ape film. I saw it twice at the theater and once here at home, and it's astounding. I mean, it really is astounding since they did this stuff with Gollum. What they've done since then to get this, to get the eyes and the lips and the jaw movement and stuff, and it's just
it's a perfect. His performance is captured completely in that. The new actor.
I dug it. The rat catcher is in the movie. He's the voice of Prime Proximia ape guy who's running the other group. But I'm just telling you, man, I know I don't like watching digital cartoon films like the Marvel films. I've been over for a long time because they're too carbon copy for my taste. This is a digital cartoon movie for the most part, but it's done so well that I just bought it, man. I love the backstory. I love the family story amongst the apes and all that. I love the asshole apes. I love the good guy apes. I loved all of it. And I said, wow, this is the way you do a digital cartoon movie. Good story, good acting, and you don't scrimp on the CG. You just don't. Because why do we see horrible CG movies after Jurassic Park? Budget, of course. It's all about the budget. If you would have had cheap digital effects in the Mars film with Matt Damon, it wouldn't have done as well. But come on, you watch that thing and it's like, my God, I think he's on Mars, because they did such a good job of it. And that film that we liked on the moon with Rockwell, that's a low budget. Oh my God,
what a great film.
That's a low budget film that they did the CG and the sets correctly, right? They figured out how to do, like when he's in the cart and he drives over and he finds himself and you're like, what the hell is this? That's me. That was done so well on a budget. So it can be done. It can be done. It's just a lot of the times, and in the Marvel movies, come on, sometimes they cheap out on those effects where it's ridiculous. It's like, what the hell am I watching here for $250 million?
Yeah, it's like the final battle of Black Panther was when I gave up, because it's so phony looking. And nobody looks like a real person in that battle.
I kind of gave up. Not that I stopped watching them totally, but what made me give up on the digital cartoon movies that aren't cartoons was the flying back and forth in the Superman with Costner, when they're going through the buildings and they're throwing each other around. It was
so annoying the way they shot
I was
that.
like, I'm done with this crap, man. I am done with this. This isn't good. I would rather watch A Man Fly with Christopher Reeves at that point. It's just terrible. Terrible. And I never did even see the third Quill film. And I love those first two films. And our boyfriend, Kurt, is in part 2. But I never did watch part 3 because I just put me off so much on those films. Now, will I go see the Deadpool? Different. It's adult. It's smarmy. It's funny.
It's Marvel, but not Marvel for me. And
right.
Right. It's kind of in itself a parody of Marvel.
Yes, and I love he pokes fun at Marvel and all that stuff. So yeah, I'll probably go see that.
The whole the butt joke thing. He goes, Disney doesn't like that. Know anything about that butt stuff? Like I do.
And of course, I can't be the only one because they're putting out one Marvel movie this year. Gee, I wonder why. And
because Kevin Feige drove it into the ground.
And I wonder why their streaming is cratering. And now we're having 3 streaming places either up for sale or they're closing their door. Gee, I wonder why. Because it's all the pendulum's beginning to swing. So hopefully we'll have more movies like Bone Tomahawk and less films like the CG crap of the past.
Yes,
Vicky
and I'm trying
just watched
to get,
that.
and
on-
I'm trying to get
on
Anima to
Netflix.
watch it, Don. I've been trying to get her to watch it with me. I said it's a horror film only in the third act. I said the first two acts,
Well, there's
Western.
some tough shit in the first 2 acts. Too.
Well, I
yeah.
told her, I said, because I asked her, I said, what are you watching? Oh, this Western movie, Bone something. And I said, Bone Tomahawk? She said, yeah, that's it. I said, oh. Well,
That
you're not
guy's
going
a
to
good
like the end
director.
of it.
He is
She
such
said,
a good director.
"What?" I said, you wait, you'll see.
You wait, you'll see. Yeah, Kurt Russell buys it big time in that film, but it's a great death scene, dude. And but that director, it's the same director who did Dragged Across Concrete.
Yeah,
He did that prison film where the guy has to fight everybody.
Yep,
Oh my
yep.
God, what a director! He says,
I've
"I want to
got-
make movies."
I have all of his films on either Blu-ray or 4K. And again, you know, I won't name the people who would laugh at me and say, that was Brawl on Cell Block in '99.
That's it.
They laugh at me and they say, how come you still collect the CDs and the DVDs and stuff? Well, you know what? Your streaming places are going to shit and they're going out of business. And
They're
you
going to
know,
go away eventually.
they edit a lot of that stuff and put it back up there, especially on Disney, or they pull it completely when some snowflake complains about it, or they put something up ahead of it saying, well, you know, you may cry
This
like
movie
a
may
bitch
trigger
or
you.
thing, blah, blah, blah. That's why I still collect, because I can watch what I want to watch when I want to watch. I mean, you can't even get the first 3 Star Wars in the original unless you have, well, a torrent, of course, but if you want to have a physical copy, you got to get the Laserdisc. I have them, but you can't even, because that guy said, I'll never release the originals ever again because I just don't like them. Oh,
Well,
you
do
don't
you know the
like,
name Addy One, Mark?
I'm not sure.
Addy One. He did this despecialized edition.
Oh, no, I know. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Incredible to see the original film in such a high definition format. So clean.
Yeah. I bought the Laserdisc back when they were out and all that, and it's great. But it just pisses me off that even a maker like that will say, "Well, I'm not going to allow you to watch those."
Lucas,
now.
I
Like,
know.
what are you talking about? These made your career, you prick. And you're not going to allow us to watch these unless we bootleg them off the internet or go out.
Which
and
is how you have to do it.
Things. I know. So, yeah, man, this whole room here is full of thousands of discs because I don't know, man. I don't want to be
You're a
manipulated.
physical media guy. Yeah, and I dig that. I had $10,000 worth of movies, Blu-rays, DVDs that were stolen, and it broke my heart. And it got to the point where I stopped collecting physical media, and what I do is I collect digital media and I store it on a hard drive. And but I miss the physical media because you get all the bonus features. And
I don't even watch them for that, to be honest. I used to be into the directors and all that kind of stuff. I like just the quality's good. I can own it.
Well, I gotta mention one film that will live in infamy for me.
Yeah.
Now you guys know that the Hollywood, okay, they go through. We're gonna do vampire movies now. They did a whole shitload of vampire movies. Most of them were crap. I know
the movie. I already know the movie.
I can tell you about crap, but then they started doing zombie movies. Well, one day, this is a few years ago, I get a package from my friend over there, Mr. Center, and he sends me a movie called Zombiever.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, I know.
I saw
love
that at
movie.
the theater. I went to the theater to see that, and I was the only one in the theater. And I was cracking up in there all by myself, going, "Where's the public? Come on, this is great."
Oh my God. Now, it does have one saving grace.
Boom.
Being a proud heterosexual male, okay, it does have some skin in there, but zombie beavers.
Come on, man. If you can't like a movie like that, then you must hate every movie Bruce Campbell ever put out in his whole discography. Come on. Come on.
My Name is Bruce is a great film. I love that movie.
The greatest film, in my opinion, that Bruce Campbell ever did. And he knocked it so far out of the park is Bubba Hotep.
Yeah.
And Ozzie Davis. Now there is a movie that on the face of it is so ridiculous, okay? It beggars description. Bruce Campbell is Elvis Presley, and Ozzie Davis, one of the premier black actors in the United States of America, who unfortunately now is gone, was JFK.
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you that by the end of the movie, I had bought into the fact that Ozzie Davis was JFK. They dyed me this color. And Bruce Campbell was the king. I never would have believed it, but my God.
And then I meet the director.
I got a pimple on the end of my pecker.
I meet the director, and I have him sign a poster for Don, and I say, look, we need the vampire sequel to this thing. And he goes, oh, yeah, we're trying. We're this and we're that. 2 years later, he puts out Phantasm 5, a hugely workless piece of shit, instead of holding off and doing crowdfunding for the vampire sequel we all wanted.
There was more to it than that, because I've talked to Bruce about it, and there was a conflict going on behind the scenes.
Well, yeah, but money fixes all conflicts in the movie
all the
business.
time. If he had gotten the funding for it.
Well, he could have gotten the funding if he would have done crowdfunding, I'm telling you, because that's how he got the money to make Part 5 Phantasm, and it sucked. It was horrible.
No, it's not. It was terrible. It was bad. Well, I'm glad they're not going to do anymore.
Well, yeah,
it's puppy to bed.
At least they didn't run their course like Hellraiser movies, where they just don't know how to stop. So...
So I wanted to mention something, because both of you will appreciate this. I think it's 3 films. I may put the list here. I'll just read. The best director actor commentary ever on any DVD Blu-ray is Carpenter and Kurt Russell when they talked on The Thing, Escape from New York, Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, I shared one of those with Don about a week ago, and I said, Don, you got to hear these guys are having such a great time. And
oh my God, Kurt Russell's just laughing all the time.
Jokes the entire time. Now, I have these, but again, I got burnt out on the commentaries back in the late 90s, because I still do 400 laser discs. Well, most of those have that stuff. They were the first ones to come out with that stuff. But he's cracking up. He's telling jokes. He's poking fun. He just sounds like a great guy to hang out with. Just don't bring up the Second Amendment. Well, unless you're pro.
Yeah, unless you're pro. That's right. Well, when he's talking about Wilford Brimley. And he that scene where he's starting to dig into the thing and like pulling stuff out of it, and it's so gross. And he says, and he's laughing. He says, man, this guy used to work on a ranch. He was a cowboy, and he just fucking loved doing that. Just pulling all that shit out. Just didn't gross him out at all. He was just having a good time pulling that crap out and the organs and shit. Oh my God. Yeah, I love that movie so much.
It's sad about John Carpenter, his
He got screwed by the studio system.
Well, the Halloween film was one of the few that made money. Almost everything else in his whole line of movies, they all lost money. All of it except that
I
one.
blame more on bad marketing for that, because the thing, it became a classic, I think, for a reason.
Well,
If they'd
it was
done
E.T.,
the right marketing,
dude. It came out the same week as E.T.
that's it.
Come
E.T.
on.
killed Blade Runner and The Thing, because they both came out in June.
Yeah,
and it just murdered both films.
Yeah, well.
People wanted a happy little alien.
That's right. Hey, Don, what's your view? Now, this is another. What's your view? And I would assume you've seen this. It's something similar to The Thing-ish, if not more violent and bloody. The Event Horizon. What's your view on that?
There's a great movie in there. But that wasn't it.
So. Yeah, it's a very cold movie. I mean, it's super dark,
very
super
Lovecraftian
cold.
too.
Yeah, it's got a lot of very odd stuff in there.
Sam,
it's Hellraiser in space.
Neil,
is what I felt
Neil.
it was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's a very effective actor, and I watched that originally with a lot of anticipation, and I kind of had an idea where it was going. But for me, they just didn't pull it off.
Yeah, well, it's. I agree. In there is a good movie. It's just for whatever reasons they weren't able to put it all together. But I think a good
if they
analogy.
did a better edit on it, Mark, it would be better.
It might be. I think a good analogy there, though, is that it's Hellraiser in space.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of that same sort of the gore, all that stuff. It's like, oh man, this is really
the
rough.
people that are altered walking around like the Pinhead and shit from. When I saw it in the theater. I was with a bunch of my buddies and everybody loved it. And I walked away and they're like, "Well, didn't you enjoy it?" I went, "I mean, it was okay," but I said, it was Hellraiser in space to me, and I've been saying that since I saw it. I said, I think they could have done a better film. I think they should have really gone into the ancient ones with the Lovecraftian horror, and I think it would have been better.
Well, and you have
unworldly.
And you have to remember the director Paul W.S. Anderson. He's less than. He's only
done one good movie with Kurt Russell called Soldier. That's his only good film.
I like that. See, I got a soft spot in my heart for his Resident Evil films. Now, granted, a lot of them.
Oh, the first one was good.
Well, and he did Alien versus Predator, the screenplay and all that shit for there. But
he did a good job on the writing of that. I like that film.
Right. I just, I guess it's one of those deals where can you watch a movie like Monster Hunter with Jai in it, who's one of my favorite Thai martial arts guys? Can you watch a film like Monster Hunter or the Resident Evil films and set aside everything else, right? And I can. So I can watch stuff like that. I like Soldier, but is Soldier like a top-notch film? Absolutely not. But you got to be able to set it aside. You got to be able to set it aside. Even like Dolph Lundgren films. I love his movies, but you know what? He's got a shit bunch of movies. Doesn't matter to me. Chuck Norris. Doesn't matter to me. I can set all of that aside and go, hey, I don't know. Did you guys take the time to watch the new Chuck movie? Guy's 84 and he just put out a new movie.
Nope.
Again, it fits to what he can do. He's 84. So I thought it was clever the way that they used him. But did I hate it? No. Did I love it? No. It's a freaking Chuck movie, right?
Watch like the last 3 or 4 Bruce Willis movies.
Well, that's different, though. He put that stuff out for a paycheck.
Yeah, but Bruce was ill. I mean, he's basically out of the picture entirely now.
Oh yeah, he's in
And
bed.
all you got basically were cameo appearances,
Yeah.
which is
'Cause
a far cry from, from what he was doing in the 80s and early 90s.
Yeah. That is different though, because he's loved in Hollywood. So these guys would work with him and say, "Hey, we can give you a paycheck. We can put up the notes on the wall or put a thing in your ear, so at least you can, get some work," because he was having a lot of problems. But yeah. So hey, Don, are you excited about the new Alien movie, Romulus?
I
Because
don't
it is
know
a
that much
bit of a
about
flat. It takes place between the first two original movies.
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
In fact, they're
See,
on that.
it threw me at first. Romulus. First thing I thought of was
Star Trek, of course. And are you excited about the new Alien TV series that they've shot and now it's going to come out?
No,
I don't know anything
it's gonna
about
be
it,
crap.
to be honest.
It's gonna be crap. Romulus is gonna be good because they're in fertile territory, and by making it in between the two films and connecting the two films, I think that was very smart. Fetty is not a bad director. I don't think he's great, but I think he's in his element with this film, and he's got some really good horror going on here. Stuff that because the facehuggers look like spiders, and that instinctively hits human beings because we don't like
Well,
spiders.
it's also
naturally.
smart that they have the member berries in there, even with the posters and things.
Done in a way that doesn't annoy you.
Right. There's
like
enough
Coco's
of the
good.
member berries in there that it will bring you back to the first two films, but it won't be a ripoff. And
Yeah,
I'm
they're not
thinking,
slapping you in the head with it,
Right. I'm thinking it might be good.
And somebody said, "Well, I don't like the, they get this young girl," and I said, "Do you know she's only 1 year apart from the Sigourney Weaver when she played Ripley? They're the same age. So what are you talking about?"
I just don't want her to be a boss chick. Like when I went and saw Twisters.
Yeah, it gets tiresome.
Which is the movie Twisters is exactly the same with an S on the end, if you didn't know. It's okay, right? I'm not real critical about movies. It's okay. I like some of it. But she's the boss chick at the end. And the way they wrap it up, it's like, well, okay, this is more of a today's movie. But you know what would have been worse? And I'm not a racist guy. I mean, I love Don, and he's a race of some sort. So they talked to the blonde gal who was in part one.
Thanks,
Helen
Mark.
Hunt.
I appreciate the hell out of that.
Sure. So they talked to Helen Hunt, and she wanted to make a sequel. While Paxton was alive and after, and she said hers was Storm Chasers of Color was going to be the focus of the movie.
They would have called it Twistas.
Right. So her whole point was to have nothing but storm chases of colors. And it's like, you're part of the problem, woman. You bought into all this thing because she wanted to make basically the urban Twister movie.
He's
and
another
it's like
idiot.
Unbelievable. And it's like, you ain't going to read The Room? Come on.
Well, they don't know how, because they live in a vacuum where they're surrounded by people saying the same shit all the time. And it's impossible to get quality from these people.
Right. So it was a pretty good movie. How
was the action and effects in it?
Good. They didn't really, they spent the money. It was fine. They didn't have a flying cow. They had a chicken
Thank
in
God.
one scene. The story, they're really trying to make that lead actor guy into something, right? They're really pushing hard on that blonde guy who plays the lead guy in it. They're pushing, and I don't dislike the guy.
With Top Gun Maverick.
Right.
And I saw it. They started pressing him.
Right. And I don't dislike the guy. Personally, I think he needs to go down the road where every so often do like a Tarantino style movie or something. Just don't do all these crowd pleasing movies because you're not Tom Hanks. So you don't have the gravitas.
It's going to kill his career if he keeps doing it.
Well, right. So he needs to do like some edgy like what Vince Vaughn
Indie,
does now. Vince
crime.
Vaughn
Yeah.
is doing some edgy stuff now, and it's working for him. So because you can't always be
Vaughn
that
was
smart ass guy.
Vaughn got hurt because of his political beliefs. It
Right.
hurt him in Hollywood.
It did, but he's still working. And he said, well, if I can't do that, I'll do these more edgy films. And he did one with Mel Gibson, and then he did the Cell Block movie, and both of them were freaking great.
And oh my God, that last scene with the head.
Oh,
Oh my God. Yeah, and I know it's fake, but I still
it doesn't matter.
man.
It's so well shot, man. I loved it. I freaking
well
loved
put,
it.
well shot.
Yeah.
But man, yeah. The dude, I forget his name that did drag.
He was just in a film last night that Vicky watched called Arkansas.
Oh yeah. That's
Arkansas.
That's a very small movie, but it's good. Yeah.
And old Vince bites the bullet at the very end.
Yep.
I'm trying to remember this one. With the two young criminals, right?
Yeah.
That was a good film. Yeah. It's got Liam Hemsworth's weird younger brother in it.
Yes.
But
You
Vaughn's
guys,
made some really good
choices.
choices.
You guys saw The Land of the Bad, right?
Oh yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
No, I know you did, Mark, but
yeah.
I was asking Gary.
Just give me some good violence, man. I just want a lot of good violence. So when I go out and I see somebody in front of me doesn't use a turn signal, I can reflect back on that violence and not have to participate in the violence.
You know, one of the biggest turnoffs this year for me, for new films that are coming out, is John Woo's new film, The Killer. Because he's remaking his own film.
Yeah, I don't know why he would do that.
And I saw the trailer and I just went, this looks like hot garbage.
Yeah, nothing. I don't even know anything about it. I saw something on Facebook went up there and I said, there's no need to do this. I mean,
this time I'm making it with Americans. And instead of a badass fucking Asian dude, I'm going to have a tiny white girl.
It makes
be the
sense.
Killer. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, fuck off.
Well, it's also the money, right? It's like,
well, gentlemen, 30 seconds. 30 seconds, wow. And we're off the air.
Yes,
we're gonna do a little check to see if we can reschedule tonight's guest that unfortunately didn't make the show. And Thursday,
I wonder if he was caught in a
unless
Sharknado.
I'm told otherwise, UAP Crossfire should be back. I think Commander Cobra is finally back in town. That's it tonight, folks. Hey, we do the best we can with what we got.
Absolutely.
And you're looking at what we got. So have a great week. Stay hydrated. And we'll check you next time. Good night, all.
God bless Sam and Dean Winchester.